So let me just give you a quick update.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out what the delay is exactly. I have my suspicions.
Could either be a paperwork problem or a qualifying problem.
Your guys' family situation, your financial situation is very complex. So with that being said,
It's like big
there's a
spider web.
lot of things to break down.
I'm on 4 mortgages.
We've put together a great file. You guys are strong. We could be 2 weeks out for
Okay.
I really feel like we have a legit opportunity to get this thing done.
Is our plural family situation gets brought into the financials because we're all interconnected financially. Now they want Janelle's financials. They want Mary's financials. They want Christine's financials. They want it all. They're trying to dissect it and go, wait, what, huh? How does this work financially? And it's because plural families don't fit in the financial world of mortgages.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Kody and Robyn got bad news over the weekend when they had to take their house off the market. Yesterday, I told you that Christine Brown filed an injunction against Kody and Brown in Utah, preventing him from selling the property due to unpaid debts and child support. Well, now things are getting way worse for them because one of the largest real estate websites, Realtor.com, is making note of the possible fraud and legal ramifications and issues with this property. And more outlets are beginning to notice that there could be some fraud associated with Kody and Robyn's house. And this is dicey. Like, this is getting spicy. And I have some more information to provide you. I showed you in the very beginning a clip from when Kody and Robyn bought the house. They had a hard time qualifying for this house. A hard time. They had a hard time qualifying. At the time, Kody was on a home loan with Christine, where he was listed as a primary residence. He was trying to qualify with Robyn as a primary residence. Can't have 2 primary residences. And then he also had a loan on Coyote Pass with both Robyn and with Janelle. They were having a hard time qualifying because of their cash flow and their unconventional financial situation due to polygamy, i.e., our unconventional way we defraud the government and banking institutions. There was hesitation with the underwriters because they were needing information from literally everyone. And they needed financials, Robyn said, from Mary, Janelle, and Christine, right? It's weird that they would need all of this information from these people. And I thought they had a bank account, right? They don't. They didn't have a joint account, okay? I'm just telling you. Kody had the account, and I'm sure he was the one that controlled it, and they just called it the family account. So Robyn's like, we need to get all these other people to come in. She's complaining because Kody's on too many mortgages. She's also complaining that the banking institutions don't understand their system of basically how Kody and Robyn rip everyone off. Well, now Realtor.com is noting something, and I wanted to talk to you about how even if, say they passed underwriting, right? Say they got all the way through underwriting. Say they get all the way through underwriting and they didn't have to do a gift. There's even another way they could have committed fraud without a gift letter. It's insane what could have happened here. So the website says polyamorous sister wife star Kody Brown takes the $1.6 million Arizona home off the market amid a furious feud with his exes. And it says that he appears to have removed the listing for his Flagstaff cabin after slashing a staggering $700,000 from the asking price amid an ongoing feud with his former spouses over the property. Now, they say it's understood that Robyn and Kody have been living in the home, which is featured in the latest episode of the hit series, and he is seen storming out of the property after an argument with his wife. They are talking about the fight they were having about the kids. But this is where it gets interesting. It says, images of the son and daughter's rooms can be seen in the listing photos of the home, which has been the subject of a bitter feud between the reality TV star and his ex-spouses in recent weeks. They then went on to find a clip from 2022 where Kody's talking about building the house, that like one big house. They get a few of the details wrong, but they have a quote from Kody confirming that this was going to be an investment property. He says, "We buy the house, we build on Coyote Pass, you move into that house, and then we rent this house." So that's how he was trying to convince Robyn to buy the house. However, after 2 years and several very uncomfortable breakups, the 3 former sister wives want their money back, a saga that has been the source of much intrigue in the latest season of their show. They quote Janelle as saying, "I've actually thought about asking if he wants to buy me out, but we've got to pay it off, and he's not talking to me about it, so I think I'm going to have to lawyer up." The controversy over the property's ownership leaves Kody in a furious rage, with the reality star describing the situation as a teenage drama. And Robyn admits she feels like she got left behind. They state it's unclear whether Kody's decision to put the home on the market was motivated by the threat of legal action from his former wives. However, he did at one point seem incredibly desperate to sell it, even reducing the asking price from $1.65 million to $949,000, according to Realtor.com record. So they then go on to explain sort of the details of the property. They're not getting the whole story right. They're kind of pulling some of the quotes in and out of context. But the point is, one of the largest real estate websites in the nation is now recognizing that the property that they purchased could have been purchased under fraudulent circumstances. And it's acknowledging that people bought this property as an investment. Okay. That's not how the property occupancy was listed. I want you to know that. So, investors or loaners, I guess it's just how you want to think about it. They're looking at Mary and Janelle as investors into this property, which is weird because those women are not actually on the mortgage or on the title, and there's no loans in their name. So, this is fraud. The reason why this is fraud is because Kody and Robyn have signed mortgage paperwork. They had an original loan that they qualified for when they had to originally qualify, and then they refinanced in 2021. But both times they stated that the property was owner occupied and a primary residence and not encumbered by any other loans. So they agreed that the occupancy was this occupancy borrower shall occupy, establish, and they use the property as their principal residence within 60 days after the execution of this instrument, and shall continue to occupy the property as the borrower's principal residence for at least 1 year after the date of occupancy, unless the lender otherwise agrees in writing, which consent shall not be unnecessarily withheld, or unless extenuating circumstances exist which are beyond the borrower's control. So they signed an agreement with the lender that this is our primary residence. This is not an investment property. This is not a second home. This is going to be our primary residence, okay? They refinanced into the same exact thing and said, this is going to be our primary residence. One of the very first statements in their security instrument says this: the borrower covenants that borrower is lawfully seized of the estate, hereby conveyed, and has the right to grant and convey the property, and that the property is unencumbered, except for encumbrances of record. Borrower warrants and will defend generally the title to the property against all claims and demands subject to any encumbrances of record. So an encumbrance would be a lien or a loan out against it, okay? So they are stating when they sign this that they are buying this house and it has completely a free and clear title. There is nobody else besides the mortgage company that has any other claim to this property. There are no other loans. There are no other investments, quote unquote. Nobody else can place a lien on this property at any point because it's unencumbered. Say the money from Janelle and Mary is a gift. Say they signed a gift letter. They're saying that was a gift and it's not a loan. Say they didn't sign a gift letter and they were able to verify that the money was in their joint account, but everyone had access to it. They were still verifying that Janelle and Mary's money was not a loan. Either way, because if they had another loan on this and they didn't disclose it to the mortgage company and they didn't sign a gift letter, it's called a silent second, and that's fraud. A silent second in the mortgage fraud scheme, scammers apply for two mortgages, the primary mortgage and the silent second. Fraudsters then use the silent second for a down payment to receive better interest rates on the first mortgages. Borrowers with sizable unexplained cash deposits or financing arrangements. Kody has unusual cash deposits and definitely has very strange financing arrangements and very strange financial records. And inconsistency between a credit report and loan application may point to an undisclosed debt. A silent second can also be a loan that you take out with someone else under the table. So it doesn't have to be like an actual loan that you take out with another bank. People can do silent seconds with sellers. So a seller can offer them a silent second, which again is still a fraud. Or they can do what they did with Mary and Janelle. And that would be considered a silent second mortgage. And that's fraud. So say they didn't need to do a gift letter, then what they've committed is a silent second. Now, another agreement they made when they signed their mortgage instrument was that they will discharge any lien which has priority over the security agreement. They agree in writing to the repayment and obligation of a secured by the lien in a matter acceptable to the lender. So they agree they will pay all taxes, assessments, charges, fines, and impositions attributable to the property, which could attain priority over the security instrument, leasehold payments, or ground rents on the property. So basically, what they're saying is that if anyone else places a lien on this property, they will pay it off, they will defend the property, and they will make sure that the mortgage stays as the first lien holder. Because if anyone else places a lien on the property, that can take precedence over the mortgage. And lenders don't like that because they don't ever want to have to deal with the possibility that they won't recoup their investment to another lien holder. So check this out. If Kody and Robyn get really hammered, and this is what I mean, say they try to go into bankruptcy to get out of this, or say the case ends up in court. Well, it's already in court now. It's tied to a child custody case, right? But this is what it says, that they will protect their own interest in the property over any other security instrument. So it says, if they fail to perform the covenants and agreements contained in this instrument, and there is a legal proceeding that might significantly affect the lender's interest in the property and or their rights under this security agreement, such as a proceeding in bankruptcy, probate, for condemnation or forfeiture, for enforcement of a lien which may attain priority over the security agreement, or to enforce laws or regulations, or if they abandon the property, the lender may do and pay for whatever is reasonable or appropriate to protect the lender's interest in the property and rights under this law, under instrument, including protecting and or assessing the value of the property, securing and or repairing the property, and they might be include but are not limited to paying any sum secured by a lien which has priority over the security instrument, appearing in court, paying the reasonable attorney fees to protect its interest in the property and or their rights under this agreement, and include its secured position in a bankruptcy proceeding. They can also secure properties by making repairs, changing locks, replacing and boarding up windows, draining water from pipes, eliminating building or other code violations that are dangerous. And they don't have to do this, but are under a duty, blah, blah, blah. So if they end up in court and any one of them, say Janelle and Mary were to sue for enforcement of the money that they want back from this, then the lender can actually get involved in the case and they can claim their property over everyone else and say, nope, this is ours. And they can pay off the sum of the lien, but then they can also secure the property as their own. They can go to court and fight for the property. They can pay attorney fees to protect their interest in this. And they're screwed because if it gets to that point, they can actually get kicked out of the house According to their covenants that they signed with their security agreement with the mortgage company, basically what they agreed to is that if any legal action takes place that involves the potential sale, like the potential impact of the house, it could be foreclosure, it could be probate, it could be a legal action or a lien on the house related to the borrower. So if they get sued, and if Christine places a lien or Janelle places a lien or Mary places a lien, at that point, they can start the default process and accelerate it. So they basically have a non-uniform covenant. So this is something that is not generally part of a loan agreement. It is non-uniform, meaning that it's an exception that they signed as a part of their agreement. It can be on a lot of different loans. It's not on all loans, but there's uniform covenants, meaning that they're standard, and then there's non-standard covenants. So there was some risk here with Kody and Robyn that there could be some sort of default. So what they were saying is they are to breach any of these covenants or agreements, they will get a notice that will be a default, the action required to cure the default, a date not less than 30 days from the date to the notice is given to the borrower by which the default can be cured, and then failure to cure the default on or before the date specified in the notice may result in acceleration of the sums secured in the security instrument and sale of the property. And the notice shall further inform the borrower of their rights to reinstate after acceleration, and the right to bring to court action to assert the non-existent of a default or any other defense of a borrower to accelerate and sale of the house. And if it's not cured before that, but before the date specified, then they have the option to require immediate payment in full of all amounts due. And if that doesn't happen at that point, then they can invoke the power of the sale. So basically, Kody's and Robyn could end up losing this house. And it's because no one gets to get money from this house other than the lender at this point. The lender is the number one lien holder. And if Kody and Robyn had a silent second mortgage with Janelle and Mary, they're going to look at that as a default of the covenants because they agreed that this property was unencumbered. Okay. They agreed that they had no other loans that were not disclosed. They also agreed that they would not provide any false or material false information about their home on the loan application. Kody, I believe, tried to refinance in 2021 to get out of this so that he could try to absolve himself of the facts that he needed Janelle and Mary to qualify. Because by 2021, he was off the mortgage with Christine. And so he could qualify without help of their money. And the down payment had already been made, right? So he was trying to absolve himself, but he was again not disclosing to the lender that there was this silent second that had been used previously to buy the house. And so that silent second is what's the issue at hand here. Okay. Janelle and Mary can sue. They certainly could sue, but it actually becomes criminal. So he could end up getting sued for the silent second by Mary and Janelle if they didn't participate in a gift letter fraud. And Kody and Robyn can end up losing the house because the bank's not going to let Janelle and Mary come for their money. They're going to say, no, this is our house. We're the lender. You're not the lender. And if you're going to sue him, they're in default and we're taking the house. At that point, if they take the house, Kody and Robyn lose the house to foreclosure. So they don't have to be in default because they stop making payments. They can be in default for like lying to the lender. And then the lender can force the sale of the house for giving them false information or lying about how the down payment came back or having loans that they didn't know about. And now there's a lawsuit that's pending because of this, or there's child support orders out against it. The lender's always going to defend their right to the property. And because they're so high profile, this is getting really bad for Kody and Robyn. I can tell you that in my experience covering these types of cases and shows and reality TV, that when properties become the dispute of like this, they can end up getting criminal charges. Todd and Julie Chrisley famously got themselves mixed up in mortgage fraud. They're in jail now. Teresa and Joe Judice also committed mortgage fraud, and they showed everyone on the show what they were doing, right? By paying with cash for everything. And Kody And Robyn made a huge mistake because they put their house on the market and they basically gave an open window to the feds of what's inside their house. And they saw all that artwork on the walls and they saw all of the statues and geodes and everything in there that's very expensive, the massive gun safe. Guns aren't cheap. And so they're going to start wondering, well, where does all this money come from, Kody? They can start looking at the taxes. And if Kody, for instance, is late on paying his taxes, which he's notorious for doing, Cody's notorious for not paying taxes on properties on time, and he's also notorious for filing late tax returns for himself. And he's also notorious for skipping paying taxes. So if he has tax debt, the IRS can start looking into him. Then it can start looking at like the mortgage fraud. It's like this whole thing has basically opened up a Pandora's box that if the feds aren't looking, they are probably looking now, because you've got people that are on a television show saying they were investors on a property that was not an investment property, that was a primary residence, and that their investment or loan that they gave to Kody is not disclosed on the property record, and they didn't disclose it to the mortgage company, so it's fraud. Whether they used a gift letter or not, it could be gift letter fraud, it can be silent second fraud. They're screwed either way. And this property, they're at risk of losing. And now Realtor.com is pointing out the fact that this property is in the middle of a dispute over the proceeds. And it has a big mortgage out against it, and a lender is always going to come calling for their money. And the lender in this case could 100% say, you're in default, buddy, you're out. So it's going to get interesting to see what happens here. I was wondering if I actually had this wonder if like Kody was trying to sell because he was worried that he might end up in default. So he was trying to get out of the loan before he could lose the house. And that was a thought. And now he can't sell. So now he's stuck and he could very well lose the house now. God, he's such an idiot. But I'm enjoying watching this all crumble. And like I said, I will wait until I'm 80 years old if I have to, but I know at some point Kody will end up behind bars. I mark my words. What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Bye, everyone.